Hey guys, Ryan Dunford here for what is normally a Tech Tip Thursday. Been a little under the weather, and with all the rain and everything yesterday, we kind of had a bit of internet issues here. So I still wanted to get to it this week. It's the first one of the new year. Today we're going to talk a little bit about clutches on the 8 scale side of things. Kind of some things you can try to change things up without changing gearing or whatnot. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do to your car to try to give it a little bit more rip off the bottom end or make it smooth going through some bumpy sections, things like that. But we're going to talk about what you can change in the clutch to do some of this. And it's often overlooked by newer folks. In all fairness, a lot of us that do it a lot very rarely change stuff, even though we probably should more. Hey, Tim. But I want to go through a couple different options we have on the TLR side for the clutch that we have for our 8 scale vehicles. The first thing being the different clutch bells. I have 2 of the 3 that we offer here. I don't have the third one. What we call our RTR clutch bell, it's what most people refer to it as, is called LOSA 9116. That's the part number. And if you look at it, normally there'll be teeth here, and then there's not this shoulder here. It goes down and then to the clutch bell. That's the easiest way to know you have that one. It's the softest of our clutch bells. We offer it in 13, maybe even 14 and 15 still. And it being softer, it's going to grab harder, so if you want something to grab a little bit sooner, maybe give you the feeling that you got a little bit more pop off the bottom end, you can put that on. The standard clutch bell, the one that comes with all of our TLR kits, is this one. It would be a 13 tooth. It's what we call our high endurance one. So it would have the shoulder there. This is LOSA 9126. This one, the teeth tend to last a lot longer. It is harder. That's why the teeth last longer. And typically, it's going to slip what we feel is about the appropriate amount given the standard clutch setup that we recommend for most people for a car. So, and the standard clutch we typically run on the buggy is a little different than the standard clutch we typically run on the truggy. So we can talk a little bit about both really quick. So anyway, there's that. And then we released the vented. So you see it's got the 3 holes in it. Still the high endurance one. This is TLR 342013. So going to be a tiny bit lighter. The venting's not really for the weight. That's more so that any dirt and debris that work its way into there can expel itself, or sometimes the rear bearing you'll put in has some grease in it. You didn't clean it out. You didn't have time or whatnot. These vents allow it so that when the grease comes, it doesn't go and come up around and end up coating, and then your clutch slips for a while. These make it so the grease expels, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. But those are the 3 clutch bell options we have. Both of these are the same material, just this one's got the venting. Then I want to talk about the 3 different clutch shoe options we have. So the ones most people know about would be our carbon and then the blue aluminum. The carbon one, those are LOSA 9107. And then the blue aluminum is LOSA 9108. These come in packs of 2. And they're sold that way because a lot of times we'll run 2 carbon and 2 aluminum. And I'll get into that. Well, a lot of people don't know, though, we have this silver one. This comes in packs of 4 because oftentimes it's actually run all 4 aluminum. And these are LOSA 9109. So the way these work is from grabbing from most grab, or least grab to most grab, would be your carbon shoe, and then the silver aluminum, and then the blue aluminum. Okay, so the blue aluminum is actually a little bit softer than the silver aluminum. So it being softer, it's going to grab the most, and metal on metal grabs more than a composite against the metal. So again, another way you can adjust how much your clutch is slipping or not slipping, how fast it's engaging or whatnot. If you've got a really loose, loamy, blown out track, a lot of times on those, I'll actually run 4 of the silver aluminum shoes because one, they last a really long time, so I get more bang for my buck, and they usually slip about the right amount for that. Or if, strangely enough, if you've got a super high bike track, sometimes if it feels like your engine's just coming up on power too fast, you can adjust your clutch. So I'm a big proponent of your engine should be adjusted and tuned to the circumstances best, and then you adjust the car and how it works based on the clutch or the gearing or whatnot. So if you want it a little softer off the bottom end, you can soften up the clutch. If you want it to grab harder and go a little bit quicker, you adjust the clutch or you change the gearing. Richening up a motor just so that it's a little softer off the bottom end or whatnot can tend to do weird things over time on your engine and whatnot. So it is what it is. But we have those. And then we do also have 4 different clutch springs. And those are in order of softest to hardest. It goes black, which is the softest, gold, or no, sorry, black, green, gold, silver, from softest to hardest. On the buggy, just so we can get it out of the way, the standard clutch we run is a high endurance clutch bell with 2 carbon and 2 blue aluminum. On the carbon, we use 2 green springs, and on the blue aluminum, we use 2 gold springs. And the reason for that is the aluminum is always going to weigh a little bit more. So we run a little bit heavier spring on the aluminum so that when they come out and grab, they're actually hitting at about the same time. And that just helps with wear and tear. It's not to say you can't change stuff based on performance. It's just you're obviously going to change wear and tear then too. On the Truggy, a lot of times we usually run the same 2 shoes, but what we'll usually do is put gold all the way around. So the spring's a little bit stiffer, so they come out and they hit a little bit higher in the RPMs, and therefore you got a little bit more pop off the bottom end. So as you go to a stiffer spring, it's going to not come out and engage until a higher RPM, and it's going to feel like, the car's kind of got more rip or more acceleration from the bottom end. But that's kind of the different things we have to use in our clutch. One of the biggest questions I get asked all the time on a clutch is, how do I know when to replace it? So I've got one of my engines here, and the way to know when to replace it is to measure from, and you always do the softest shoes. So in this case, the carbon's going to be softer than the aluminum, right? If I had blue and silver on here, I'd do the blue ones. If I had all silver, obviously I'd do the silvers. But you want to go from the tip, the most worn out tip, right here, to the opposite end. Sorry, it's hard to do this, to that worn out tip. Now, one word of caution is I'll see a lot of people measure them, right? And they'll come in here, let me do it, and they'll measure, and they'll put these right up against, let me turn them on so you can see it too. They'll put it like right up against the back plate, the flywheel here, and they'll go to measure it and be like, oh, 23.77, that's perfectly fine. Let's see if we can get, there we go, the glare off of it. Well, the problem is what you're actually measuring when you push the calipers all the way against this is these portions of the aluminum. You need to get in between the springs here, right? So if I use the tips, these nice thin parts here, I can get in between the springs of the blue, and now you'll see 23.26. That's much, much lower, right? So you want to make sure you always have a good set of calipers and you know how to use them, guys. So, but that's basically how you measure. And as you could see, that number was 23.2 something. The numbers to kind of go by as far as to know when to change them. You should try to change them if you've pulled your clutch apart and everything and you're looking at it and it's like 23.7. That's kind of when you should change them for maximum performance. But we've actually run them all the way down to 23.4 with good performance. Anything under 23.4, they slip, they don't grab right, everything feels funky. Your throttle doesn't feel right, your engine doesn't come up on tune well. So as you could see, that clutch, one of the reasons I chose it is because it was toast. I do tend to run my clutches a little bit too long and whatnot. But yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest questions I get. The magic number is 23.4. The next number after that is 23.7 if you kind of want to keep maximum performance. And then there's one other thing I wanted to show here in case you kind of want a cheat sheet. So in our 8X Elite vehicle, if you go down and you look at the TL Racing site, it is the 8X Elite, and then you would click on like the manuals section. There's a item in here called the 8X Elite Tuning Guide. Okay, and what that is it's got all kinds of cheat sheets type stuff. So I'm going to show that to you. This is going to look a little funky initially, so I apologize. So here's that. But here's the cheat sheet on just the clutch section. So you can see here, it's going to tell you how to, the proper way to what you want to do to it, cleaning the clutch bell, some sandpaper or like Scotch-Brite or whatnot. It's going to tell you what to and to not do. But then if you look through it, you got all the information on clutch springs, soft to stiff, what it does if you put softer, stiffer ones, whatnot, and clutch shoes, what to do, the order of the shoes, and what you want to change as you're going along. This cheat sheet obviously has a lot of other tuning stuff in here, how to measure droop, wheelbases, chassis, lots of stuff in here. But I just kind of wanted to make sure that most people are aware of this. Again, it's in the manuals section for the 8X Elite vehicle. So yeah. So let me go back to the other screen here. And again, I apologize. I know that's probably a really weird view there. But yeah, that's kind of all the stuff about clutches, the different parts we offer, the part numbers for all of them, and whatnot. Let me see. Let's see. What do you recommend for a build for a first timer? Hopefully I answered that with our stock buggy clutch that we typically start with on a track versus what we run on a truggy. I run 4712 ring and pinion gears on my 4.0 truggy. They were discontinued. Will the new 8XT ones work? No. Is unfortunately, sorry, the rear ring and pinion got twisted around the opposite direction. So no, the 8XT ones won't work because the rear ring and pinion just won't fit in there, and you can't put the front one in there without the rear because you'd have different front and rear gear ratios. So sorry, David, but yeah, that's all the stuff about clutches. We do sell a nice clutch box, which gets beat up after a while, but it's got all kinds of initial stuff in there if you want that. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, again, like always, if you have suggestions, things you want to see, this particular one came about 3 days ago from somebody, and they wanted to kind of know about clutches a little bit more. So hopefully you kind of understand there's a lot of tuning that can be done to a clutch to make your car feel a certain way. We offer a wide variety of items that you can use, almost too many sometimes, it seems like. So hopefully that helps you out. And other than that, I hope everybody had a great New Year's, and wish everybody a great new year moving forward. And yeah, let's get out, let's race, let's have some fun, let's help some of the folks around us, guys, and make it a hobby that's great for everyone. So everybody take care. Hi, GJ.